Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is a video lesson for Statistics and Probability Grade 11. This is the final module for third quarter, which is the distribution. So in module 1, we talked about random variable and probability, if you can still remember, probability distribution. And then on to the module 2, we talked about the normal distribution. So the normal curve, the areas under the normal curve, and also solving problems and finding the areas under the curve, and the standard scores, and what else? Ano pa ba sa module 2? I think that's it, no? Determining probabilities, we also did that. And then in module 3, we talked about sampling and sampling distribution. We talked about different methods of sampling. We talked about the random sampling, the Slovin's formula, and then we also talked about the parameter and statistics, sampling distribution of the sample means. I hope you watched that video lesson, because may mga part doon na nag-solve tayo, like solving for sampling with replacement, and then the other one is without replacement. We also talked about the central limit theorem. Please watch the video because I explained the central limit theorem there. According to the proposition of the central limit theorem is that pag mataas na masyado yung population, it will resemble a normal distribution. And remember, the graph of normal distribution is a bell-shaped curve. Okay? So, it varies. Yung ibang statistician, they said, pag umabot na ng 30 ang sample, magmumukha na siyang normal distribution. But other statistician says, pag umabot ng 50, then it will look like a normal distribution. Now, in the, itong visualization representation here shows that ang t-distribution is flatter. As you can see, the green line, it is more flat than the z-distribution or the normal curve. Okay, so that is because the t-distribution is usually used for problems which includes sample size lower than 30. Lower or close to 30. Yun ang gamit ng t-distribution. It's not in your module, but I would like to discuss this. A little bit of history. Bakit ang tawag sa t-distribution is student's t-distribution? It was discovered by William S. Gossett in 1908. Gossett was a statistician employed by the Guinness Brewing Company, which had stipulated that he not published under his own name. Bawal. Well, I'm not sure kung bawal before, but there are some restrictions before. Hindi basta-basta mag-publish under his own name. So he therefore wrote under the pen name student. That is why ang tawag doon is student's t-distribution. Okay, and that is the formula, in which case later on we will talk about that, inshallah. Okay, so going back to your module now. So ito yung ating mga learning competencies today. Illustrate the t-distribution, identify percentiles using the table, identify the length of the confidence interval, compute for the length of the confidence interval, and compute for an appropriate sample size using the length of the interval. 4 to na lesson lahat, so huwag kayong magtaka kung nagmamadali ako konti. Anyway, so performance standard is for you to solve problems involving confidence interval estimation of the population proportion, which is around lesson 4. So this t-distribution, how do we illustrate what is the t-distribution? So the t-distribution, which is also known as student's t-distribution, is a probability distribution which is utilized in estimating parameters of a certain population in case of the sample size is small, okay, or the population variance or standard deviation is unknown. It is like with the z-distribution that is bell-shaped and symmetric about the x-axis but is flatter and more spread. So tulad ng sinabi natin kanina, flatter lang siya, although the same almost same properties. Nasa gitna yung mean, and then symmetrical siya. Kung ano yung nandoon sa nasa left, meron din sa right. So, take note, z-test is only used when the population standard deviation or variance is known, and or the sample size is large enough, meaning more than 30. But for sample sizes which are small, sometimes the population standard deviation or variance is unknown. Rely on the t-distribution whose value can be known using this formula. So this is our formula for getting the t-value. Kung dati ang kinukuha natin is z-value, ngayon naman we are getting the t-value, which is this one. So this is t is equals to the sample mean minus the mean of the population over standard deviation of the sample divided by square root of the sample size. So, hindi nyo na kailangang i-memorize yan, but just familiarize, no? So, in addition, there is a lot different of family of t-distributions. Baka magtaka kayo, may makita kayo na mga references online. Teach, bakit iba yung formula niya for t-distribution? Marami pa, no? Marami pang ibang formulas ang t-distribution. Even z-distribution. Marami din siyang ibang transformation of the formula. So, huwag masyadong malito, no? Its particular form is determined by degrees of freedom. Ano nga ba ang degrees of freedom? It is just the number of independent observations in a given set of data. And degrees of freedom can be solved by n minus 1. Or that is the sample size minus 1. Yun ang degrees of freedom. So, I hope you have looked onto your modules because on page 5, later on, no, makikita nyo yung t-table, t-distribution table. Okay, so there are some properties of the t-distribution. Now, you can read the module or summary. So, the mean distribution is equals to 0. Just like z. Just like normal distribution, no? Ang mu niya is also 0. The variances, however, is greater than 1. Although, it is always close to 1. Hindi siya nalalayo sa 1. And then, the same with normal distribution. It is almost the same, no? Same as normal distribution, but with infinite degrees of freedom. Nagbabago siya because of the degrees of freedom. Because, syempre, kung more than 30 na ang sample, then we are going to use the normal distribution, right? The z-score. However, kung less than siya, it will be 30 at maximum, di ba? No? Kasi nga, kung ang n mo is less than 30, so probably, for example, less than or equal to 30, ang pinaka-maximum is 30 ang n, no? So, if n is equals to 30, the degrees of freedom would be 30 minus 1 is equals to 29. So, maiisip mo na 29 pababa, that could be a variation of why nag-iiba yung muka ng graph ng t-distribution. Okay, so that is how we can illustrate t-distribution. So the table, in order to get the t-value, a t-distribution table is shown above, not really above, it's below, sorry, which consists of the degrees of freedom, which is the numbers of the at the leftmost column alpha, which is some of the special areas at the topmost row, and the t-values which are located at the right of the degrees. Okay, anyway, masyadong masyadong napaka-technical nun. Before we move on, baka nagtaka kayo, ano yung alpha? Okay, alpha is derived from these two concepts. We have the level of confidence, or makita nyo sa module ninyo, it says confidence level. No? It's actually the same. It pertains to the same thing, confidence level. So, this is actually the confidence level of the researcher, or yung sagot mo is tama ang nakuha niya or is close to the true value. Okay? Like for example, ano yung sinasabi mong true value, teach? Diba? Ano yung true value? Ang true value is yung totoo. Yung totoong value, like for example, di ba ang statisticians, puro lang naman probability, di ba? Or close. Ayun na nga, close to the true value. Why? Like, for example, sabihin natin, grades, no? For example lang. So, meron kang 90, meron kang 92, meron kang 91, meron kang 88, bigla kang nagbaba dito sa kabila, and then meron kang 82, let's say. So, if I'm going to get the average of this one, it will probably give me something like this, no? 8.3333, something, something, something. Kung i-round off ko siya, 88 lang, this is close to the true value. Ang true value is 88 point something, 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 3333, I don't know. Diba? So, this is what you call close to the true value. So, ang confidence level is how confident are you that this number is indeed close to the true value. Whatever true value that is. Ito na nga, for example, this one, grade, pwedeng age, pwedeng height, pwedeng effectivity, okay? Pwedeng, ano pa ba, population, pwedeng demographics, okay? Pwedeng reliability, okay? Viability, dosage. So, ang dami, no? Ang daming pwedeng magkaroon ng true value. But the main point there is that how the level of confidence will show you how confident you are that the number that you got or the result, the outcome that you got is close to the real value, to the true value. Yun ang level of confidence. At complementary niya, no, ang level of significance. So, level of significance naman is how significant, no, how significant or relevant ang nakuha mong number, ang outcome, ganyan, no? It goes, they are complementary of each other. Anong ibig sabihin, no? Na like, let's say, for example, your confidence level is 95%. Ang level of significance denoted as alpha, there you go. Ayun na, lumabas na. Ang haba ng explanation ko, yun lang naman yung gusto kong i-explain. Ano yung alpha? Ang alpha is level of significance. There you go. Okay, so level of significance, and then makukuha mo yan siya by deducting 1 by the level of confidence in decimal form. So, for example, 95%, that is 95 divided by 100, 0.95. So, the alpha, or the level of confidence, would be 0.05. Okay, yun lang naman yung ibig sabihin ng alpha. Okay? So, bakit kinailangan ko itong i-explain? Because, para makuha yung t-value, no? Because t-values are denoted as, para siyang coordinates, no? Para siyang coordinates, meron siyang dalawang components, the alpha and the degrees of freedom. So, mag-example tayo ng madali lang, no? Let's say I have a t-value of 0.05 and then ang degrees of freedom ko is 19. So, how will I get the value or the t-value of this information, of these components? So, I will go to the table. Okay? So, wag niyo munang problemahin itong two tails or one tail. Dito muna tayo sa one tail magtingin, no? So, sabi ko, sa example, 0.05 ang aking alpha. So, ito siya, 0.05. And then, ang kanyang degrees of freedom is 19. So, you find 19 here. Okay? And then, you find the intersection. Okay, this one. So, 1.729. Okay. So, that is your result now. Now, teach, ano ibig sabihin yan ng 1.729? Yun yung wala dito sa stat. No? Dito nyo ma-realize na statistics is a tool. It is a tool. It is a methodology. It will not make sense unless it is used by a different field. For example, gamitin siya ng demographics. For example, gamitin siya ng research. Gamitin siya ng laboratory experiment, which is research. Gamitin siya sa ibang field. Kasi doon merong katanungan na gustong sagutin. At doon mong maikukumpara itong number na ito. On its own, like for example this one, on its own, it doesn't mean anything. 1.729, what does it mean? Okay? Pero pag ginamit mo na siya as a tool, as a methodology, as a process, in any other field, doon na siya magkakaroon ng meaning. There you go, ng context. Okay? So, right now, we can just say that the t-value for that is 1.729. So, just like in Z table, no? Huwag na nating problemahin kung saan nakuha itong mga numbers na to. Those are predefined. These are computed by great statisticians. Moving forward to our module. So, identifying the t-value, I already gave you an example kung paano magkuha. So, mag-practice tayo. So, I have 4 questions here. So, sabi niya, n is equals to 14, and the alpha is 0.1. Okay, so what is the t-value? Remember, para makuha mo ang degrees of freedom, it should be n minus 1. So, degrees of freedom is 13. So, hanapin muna natin yung 0.1, and then 13. Okay, this one. 1.350. That should be the answer. So, for number 1, 1.350. How about for number 2? Degrees of freedom is 10, and then alpha is 0.025. So, given na ang degrees of freedom, so 0.025, and then 10, 2.228. So, 2.228. How about number 3? Number 3 is, okay, given ang t-value at ang alpha, ano ang n? Okay. So, 2.052. 2.052 dito daw na side. Okay, this one, 2.052, at saka ang degrees of freedom would be 27, but we are looking for n, so n is equals to 27 plus 1, so 28. Number 4. Number 4, find the t-value when, okay. Okay. Gamitin lang natin yung ano. Okay, ang mu daw is, what was the mu? 42, and then the sample mean is equals to what? 44. Okay, S is equals to 5, and N is equals to 25. Okay, so T is equals to 44 minus 42 over S divided by square root of N, 25. So, calculator, let me use my calculator here. 44 minus 42 is 2. And then, square root of 25 is 5. So, 5 over 5 is 1. So, 2 divided by 1, 2. Okay, so t value is equals to 2. That's the answer. Okay. So, let's see kung tama ang nakuha natin na sagot. Actually, sa inyong mga module, meron na siyang sagot dyan and solution. Diba? Ang dali-dali na nga ng module ninyo. Andyan na ang solution, guys. So, sa part 1, it is indeed, okay, tama ang nakuha natin, 1.350. For number 2, it is indeed 2.228. And then, sa number 3, 2.025. Okay, 28, tama. And then, number 4, 2. Okay, 2 nga. So, for activity 1.2, itong more practice, I hope you would be able to answer that. Okay? So, next, lesson 2 na tayo kaagad. Identifying percentiles using t-distribution. If I'm not mistaken, in the first module, no, not first. Saan ko nga nabanggit yun? Anong module nga yun, guys? Module 2 ata. Somewhere in module 2, lesson 3 ata yun. Nabanggit ko yung percentile. Yung sinabi nating percentile rank. Okay, diba? Like, for example, pag sinabing 85th percentile ka, ibig sabihin, 85% of the group is lower than you, and then, the 15% of the entire group is higher than you. Yun lang naman ang ibig sabihin ng percentile. Kaya nga sabi niya, is one of the measurements in statistics which tells the value below in which an observation's percentage in a set of observations falls. So, for example, andito yung percentile X, no? Ibig sabihin, whatever percentage this one, papunta dito, this is lower than that percentile. At yung nandito naman is higher, of course, than that percentile. In percent, or in percentage form. Okay? So, that is percentile. So, in addition to finding a percentile for a t-distribution, t-table can be utilized as it is a number on a statistical distribution whose less than the probability is given the percentage. So, for example daw, if you are asked on the 80th percentile of the t-distribution with respect to its degrees of freedom, that refers to the value whose left tail is less than probability is 80% or 0.8, and whose right tail or greater than probability is 20% or 0.2. Yun na nga, for example, 80% ito siya, no? Ibig sabihin, 80% is lower than that score, and 20% is higher than that score. Then we can actually use the t-distribution for that one. So, how? Paano teach? So, let's try this one. Mag-practice muna tayo. So, activity 2.1, so number 1, n is equals to, what was that, 14, tapos ang percentile is 95th, okay, and then, ano ang t-value? So, how are we going to do that one? So, ano ang degrees of freedom dito? df is equals to 13. So, going back here, let's go back to the table. Andito lang yan siya sa taas, actually, as you can see this one, no? Okay, andito siya sa taas, no? Itong mga ito. Okay, so sabi niya, 95th. So, this one, t dot 95. Okay, and then, ang kanyang degrees of freedom is 13. Ito, 1.771. So, ang ating t alpha df is equals to 1.771. Number 2 naman, okay, df, okay, given na kaagad ang degrees of freedom is 10, and then percentile is 90th. Okay, so we are still looking for the t value. So 10th, going back to the table again, so degrees of freedom 10, and then kung 90th siya, it will be 90th. Ito, tama man? Okay, 90th, and then 10, 1.372. Kung for example, guys, kasi iba-iba ang itsura ng tables, no? But ang nakuha kong table, kompleto kasi siya. Nandito yung cumulative probability, no? Nandito din yung one tail, nandito yung two tails, meron pang confidence level sa baba. But some other tables, walang ganito. No? For example, kung napansin niyo yung nasa appendix, okay, ito siya yung isa pang t-table na given, no, dyan sa mga module ninyo. As you can see, wala, oh. Ay, z-table pala ito, okay. Ito, there you go. So, alpha lang at saka degrees of freedom. You don't even know what that is, no. Hindi siya masyadong comprehensive. Pero nandun sa page 5, it is a very good table, no. But, for example, kung ibang klaseng table ang ginagamit ninyo, mapansin niyo yan, halimbawa yung 90th na percentile. Pag for example, wala ito, itong nasa taas, itong mga t, 0.50, 0.75, kung wala yan, pag sinabing 90th percentile, i-minus mo lang siya sa 1. So, 1 minus 0.90, 0.10, right? As you can see, sa one tail kayo magtingin, ayan, 0.10. Pansinin nyo yan, guys, kung i-add mo itong one tail, at saka yung nandito sa taas, na cumulative probability, it will equal to 100 or 1, I should say. So, halimbawa, ito, 0.50 yung nasa taas, and then 0.50 ito, 1, right? 0.25 plus 0.75, 1, 0.20 plus 0.81, okay. So, for example lang, wala itong nandito sa taas, dito kayo magtingin sa one tail. Okay? So, that is how you can get the percentile, t-value using the percentile. Next, we have the length of confidence interval. Meron kasi tayong tinatawag na confidence interval. I will just go down here. Okay, lesson 3. Ang confidence interval, it is actually the lowest limit, okay, and then the highest limit. Okay, teach, ano yung EBM? Okay, relax lang. We are going to talk about about that in a while. It actually means the margin of error. At kung binasa ninyo ang inyong mga module ninyo, you would know what is the meaning of margin of error. Anyway, so confidence level is when an interval estimate has an attached confidence coefficient. It has a lower and upper limit and is used to estimate population parameter. Okay, again, ano to teach? Hindi ko maintindihan. Okay, parameter is just a trait or characteristic, okay, specific trait or characteristic of a population. Now, ano naman ang population? Ang population, again, is depende sa iyong research. Depende sa inoobserbahan mo. Population can be humans. Population could be animals. Population can be dogs, bacteria, virus, furniture, subject, grades, students, okay. Ang daming pwedeng maging population. Ang ibig sabihin lang naman ng population kung ano yung pinag-aaralan mo doon sa iyong research or any other field of study. Yung mga ginagawa ng microbiologists sa laboratory experiments nila, that is a research, right? Yung mga ginagawa ng teachers sa mga estudyante nila, that is research. Yung ginagawa ng mga marine biology, ng mga animal scientists, ng mga botanists, ng mga zoologists sa animals. Of course, it's still research, no? So, population is the whatever it is that you are observing, a phenomena even. For example, di ba yung mga meteorologist, okay? Di ba, nag-aaral sila ng typhoons, ng weather, di ba, ng types of clouds, ng atmospheric pressure and all of these things. It could be a population. Depende talaga, no? Volcanic eruptions, nag-aaral lang mga seismologists ng ganito, ang mga volcanologists, nag-aaral ng mga ganitong bagay, no? Anything. Population is what you are trying to study all about. Okay? At ang parameter is just a characteristic of that population. For example, kung volcanic eruption, magnitude, tawag ito yung kalawak ng area ng devastation. Okay? Halimbawa, virus, ano siya? Yung pathogen ba? Yung kanyang effectivity? So, any trait or characteristic of the population, yun ang gina-estimate ng p-value, and ang confidence interval is merong lower limit at upper limit. So, let's give a very practical example. Let's say, tatanungin ako ni Ustad, Teacher Sura, what is the average grade of grade 11 in stat? Okay. Pag for example, tinanong ako ng ganito, magbibigay ako ngayon ng, I could give one number. I could say, siguro Ustad 80. I could say that. But, in some other cases, it would be better, no, if you have a interval. Okay? Like, I will say, for example, siguro, Ustad, 80.2 up to 88.6. Yan, Ustad. Nandyan lang yan, Ustad. Diba? Pwede kong sabihin yun. Okay? This is better. Why? Magkakaroon siya ng mental picture of ano ang performance ng grade 11 sa subject na statistics. Diba? That is why, okay, so this is your lower limit and this is your upper limit. So, ibig sabihin, this is a better picture of the average grade rather than just giving 80, Ustad. And really though, even if you say 80, pwede mo pa rin, it goes both ways eh. Pwedeng mataas sa 80 konti or mababa sa 80 konti. So, magbigay ka na lang ng limit, di ba? Ng interval. So, this is the use now of confidence interval. So, how are we going to solve for the confidence interval? So, balik tayo dito sa baba. Meron tayong mga formula na given. There you go. So, we have two formulas, no? Tawagin natin Formula 1 at saka Formula 2. So, ang Formula 1 ay gagamitin mo lang if variance, okay, is known, or, take note of the or, sample size is greater than 30. So, remember, in your logic, no, P or Q, isa lang yung true dyan, true na siya. Okay? So, you will use this if na-fulfill niya itong condition na to or na-fulfill niya itong condition na ito. So, what is that? That is mean plus minus z alpha over 2 sigma over square root of n. Okay, that's it. Yung pinahaba niya na formula, guys, ito, itong mahabang formula na ito. As you can see, di ba plus minus ito? Gi-ano niya lang naman eh. Gi-specify niya lang. It means that the mu, no, is in between the x minus the z alpha over 2 times square root of n, or is greater than the upper limit, which is plus. Yun lang naman yung kaibahan nun eh. Yung isa minus, yung isa plus. Z alpha over 2 times sigma over square root of n. Okay. Yun lang naman yung ibig sabihin nun. But this is already sufficient in my opinion. Kasi pag na-memorize mo na to, it will be easier to memorize the other things. Okay. So the next one, Formula 2. If naman daw, variance is unknown. Variance is unknown. And, okay, sample size is less than 30. So, logic na naman, no? So, pag P, conjunction Q, kailangan mag-true lang yan siya, ang iyong result kung both of these is true. May isa lang na false dyan, false na siya kaagad. So, meaning, magagamit mo lang itong Formula 2 if the first condition and the second condition is fulfilled. So what is that formula number 2? It is the sample mean plus minus again t, which is may components siya, the alpha over 2, and then n minus 1. In fairness, ang daming nagte-text sa akin. Bakit? Ano yan? Okay. X, S over N. Okay. So, ano tong X dito, guys? Don't be bothered too much by this X, no? Because this is going to be used sa mga research na kailangan nila i-specify. Kasi, di ba, ito yung mean? Di ba? And you know, paano nga natin kukunin ng mean? So, mean is actually the summation of X, di ba, over N. X is just, you know, the components. Like, for example, grades. So, you will have 90 plus 82 plus 83. Ito yung mga X mo na mga element. Tama man? So, that will only be used if you wanted to get the t-value of a specific component. Okay? But, in our module, because this is just the basic t-distribution, we will not be getting each component. So, as a whole, ibig sabihin, hindi na natin ito masyadong papakialamanan. Okay? Wala siyang, kumbaga pa, wala tayong isa-substitute dyan. Okay? But, in the entire formula, isasali siya because that is the standard formula. So, the same thing, the same thing as, what do you call this one, earlier, no? Itong version na to, plus minus siya. So, ibig sabihin, ang mu is just in between the x minus, no? T alpha over 2 n minus 1 times s over square root of n. Okay, wag masyadong malito. Bakit tinanggal ni Teacher Sura yung x? Because nga, I explained earlier that for now, in this module only, we will not be tackling the specific components, no? And then this is minus. The other one is, of course, positive, no? So, t alpha over 2 n minus 1 and then s over square root of n. Okay, so that is the meaning of formula 2. Ano yung sinasabi nating margin of error? Margin of error, or in some, what do you call this one? Some other textbooks or reference, maybe baka nag-search kayo sa internet, it is called the ABM, or error bound for mean. Okay, yun lang naman ang ibig sabihin ng EBM, or that is the margin of error. Kasi nga, statistics knows, no, na hindi accurate yung nakukuha niya na number. It is not exact, no, hindi siya yung true value, although it aims to be close enough to the true value. Ang margin of error is the maximum allowable difference between the sample and the true value. So, that is the EBM, or margin of error. Paano kunin yan sa teach? Okay. Actually, included na siya dito sa ating formula. This one is the EBM. Okay, for formula 2. For formula 1, ito ang EBM. Okay? Yan ang margin of error. So, for example, later on, if you are going to solve, no, which is magsasolve tayo kasi, that is the margin of error. Kung makuha mo na ito siya, you have already solved or computed for the margin of error. Okay, so moving on, so let's try to solve things, no? If I'm not mistaken, in your modules, merong practice dyan. So, andito siya, di ba? So, ayun na yung iyong margin of error. Okay, so let's try this one. Example number 1. Meron daw tayong level of confidence na 95%. Meron tayong sigma, or remember, sigma is your variance, 9. And then, ang ating sample size is 20. And then, we have the sample mean to be 56. So, pag dito, makukuha na natin ang alpha, 1 minus 0.95. Saan nakuha yung 0.95? From the confidence level, 95%. It's in percentage form. So, para makuha mo yung decimal part, just 95 divided by 100. So, alpha would be 0.05. Tingnan natin kung anong condition ang na-fulfill niya, anong gagamitin natin, formula 1 or formula 2. So, ang kanyang variance is known. Okay? But, the sample size is lesser than 30. So, we cannot use formula 2 kasi nga end siya. Kailangan na-fulfill niya to, no? Kasi ito lang yung kanyang na-fulfill. But, in the upper part, in formula 1, no, ito, variance is known, true, or sample size is greater than 30, false. But then, it's or. So, true ito, meaning, kahit false pa itong kabila, it is still true. So therefore, we have to use formula 1. So, sulat lang natin dito yung formula 1 para hindi tayo malito, no? Z alpha over 2. Ano yon? Hindi ko memorize. Okay. Sigma over N. Okay. So, ang una nating kunin is itong Z alpha over 2. Z alpha over 2. So, alam natin na ang alpha is 0.05 over 2. So, paano mo pa rin siya makukuha, teach? So, remember Z. Z value is the normal distribution. Okay. So, plot natin yung normal distribution dito. Anyway, isipin nyo na lang, symmetrical yan siya. So, sa gitna natin, nandyan yung ating mu, and then somewhere over here is the Z alpha over 2. Over 2. Okay. So, we would like to get this. So, remember the probabilities, no, the areas under the curve. We can actually get this by getting the area under the curve. And how are we going to get that? So, you can actually get the area to the left by adding 1 plus yung ating confidence level, which is 0.95 over 2. So, using your calculator, that would be 1 plus 0.95 divided by 2. So, ang area, itong area natin, no, area is 0.975. But remember, hindi pa yun yung Z value natin. Area pa lang yun siya. So, how are we going to get the corresponding Z value with this area? Then we have to look up on the Z table. But we have to be very specific with this one. Dapat, positive Z table ang gamitin natin. Meron kasing, as you can see, I searched for the Z-score table. Meron tayong Z table, negative Z-score values. Ayan, meron tayong negative. And we would like to use the positive. As you can see, no, dito sa positive scores in the Z table, it corresponds to the values which are greater than the mean. Kaya nga, as you can see, no, andito yung Z, and then these are the areas in the left side, no? Itong shaded part. That is why ito yung ating gagamitin na table. So, looking at this table, hanapin natin yung nakuha natin na area. Ano nga yun? 0.975. Okay. 0.975975. Dito. Tama ba? Ito. So, tandaan natin ang kanyang row, 1.9. And then, ang kanyang column, 1.9 plus 0.06 is 1.96. So, ang Z value, corresponding Z value nito, which is the Z alpha over 2 is 1.96. Ito na yung value na gagamitin natin dito. So, substitute na lang. No? Ano yung ating mean? 56 ba yun? Okay. So, 56 plus minus ang ating Z alpha over 2 is 1.96. Ang ating variance is, what is the variance again? 9 over, ang ating N is 20. Square root of 20. Para mas madali tayo guys, no? Kunin muna natin itong EBM. Okay, so 1.96 times 9 divided by square root of 20. Guys, mag-ayusin niyo yung paggamit nyo ng calculator ha. Again, PEMDAS. Unahin yung parentheses bago yung nasa labas. So, my answer would be, ang ating EBM is 3.94. 3.94. So, now, ang ating mu would be 56 minus the EBM, and the upper limit would be plus the EBM. Okay. So, now, the interval should be 56 plus 3 point something something. Ay, sorry, minus pala dapat. Okay, so anyway, nakuha ko na muna yung upper. So, 59.94. And then, 56 minus 3.94 is 52.06. Therefore, your confidence interval is 52.06 and 59.94. Okay, so yan lang naman ang ating interval for this situation. How about number 2? Example number 2. So, let's go back. Try daw natin kung tama tayo, no? Baka mali din ang pagka-solve ko. So, 52.06. And then 59.94. Okay, so tama. Example number 2. ang kanyang given, ano yun? 95%, 3, 15, okay, wait lang. So, ang confidence level natin is 95%, tama ba? Tapos, I'm looking at the printed module na lang. S is equals to 3, and then N is equals to 15, and then the mean is 25. Anong formula ang gagamitin natin? So, lower, ang N is 15, lower pa rin siya ng 30, no? Tapos, hindi known ang variance. Indeed, T. So, anyway, so, ang ating, formula is T, alpha over 2, and then N minus 1, X. Tama ba, guys? Correct me if I'm wrong. Hindi ba sigma to? Dapat ba, sabi ko na nga ba hindi sigma? It should be the S. Tama na ba? Baka mali? Okay. Anyway, so, ito siya. Ang kukunin naman natin ngayon is this one. Ito yung unahin natin kunin kasi hindi siya madaling kunin, no? So, hanapin muna natin ang T, alpha over 2, and minus 1. So, anong kailangan natin? Alpha. Okay, so, makuha natin ang alpha, 1 minus 0.95 is equals to 0.05, and then over 2, and then ang n minus 1 is the degrees of freedom, 14. So, therefore, kailangan natin kunin ang t value for 0.05 at saka n minus 1, 14. Okay, so let's go back here. Page 5 to the t value, t table, I should say, sorry. Okay. 0.05 here, degrees of freedom, 14. Tama ba? 14 ba? Okay. So, 14, tapos 0.05, 1.761. 1.761. Okay. So, ilagay na natin siya dito, no? So, magiging, ito ang ginakuha ko guys ha, oh. Sige, gawan, this one, no? So, 1.761 times, ano yung S na given? 3 over square root of 15. So, yung EBM mo, kasi diba ito yung ating EBM, or margin of error, is, calculator, 3 divided by square root of 15 times 1.761 is equals to 1.36. Okay guys, I'm so sorry, pero mali itong solution dito sa ating, itong solution sa module ha. Bakit? Because, ang ginamit niya sa N is 25, which is, no. At saka, ang ginamit niya sa mean is also not the same thing. Should be 25 here. This is your mean. Okay, so, sorry, but this is wrong. So, disregard this one. Okay? So, isosolve ko na lang ito, itong example na ito, ng totoo. Isolve natin dito. So, again, mali yung pag-solve doon, ha? So, anyway, ang margin of error dito would be 1.36. 36.4. Okay. So, para makuha natin yung upper and lower limit, meron na tayong EBM. So, the mean, ang mean dito is 25. So, 25 minus, ano yun? 1.364. And then, ang mu is in between, 25 plus 1.364. So, this is our, okay, 26.364. And then, ang kabila naman, 25 minus 23.635. 23.636 actually. Okay, sorry. Nakalimutan ko yung ganyan. So, that is your interval now. 23.636 and 26.364. Guys, kung napansin niyo dito sa module niyo merong with. Paano kukunin yung with? With. I-minus nyo lang to. Yan na yung with. So, 26.364 minus 23.636. That is the width. 2.728. 2.728. And then, yung sa taas naman, try natin kunin yung width nito. Ang width nito would be 59.94 minus 52.06. That is 7.88. Okay. 7.88. Again, guys, ito ang tamang solution for example number 2. But, this one, itong in-example niya, itong solution niya, if the, recall this one, if the sample mean is 30, and n is equals to 25, ito, tama tong solution na to. But, ang given kasi is, ang n is 15, at ang sample mean is 25. So, the correct solution should be this one. Itong gi-solve ko. So, the correct answer should be this things right here. Okay, so anyway, moving on, that is how you solve for the confidence interval. So, merong practice dyan. I hope you can practice, no? Kasi meron ding solution. Baka mali yung solution, pakicheck lang, but you would not know unless you will solve. Okay? So, meron din siyang solution dyan. Okay, merong application, merong worded problems. Let's try to solve worded problems then. So, as an example, no? Mag-sample tayo ng mga worded problems. So, sample word problems. So, we have number one example. Average daw na test scores of margin of error. So, dalawang hanapin natin. Actually, mahanapan naman talaga natin ng margin of error, di ba? Tama man. So, average test scores in stat class is normally distributed. So, given ang standard deviation, tapos 50 scores, so that is your N, 50. So, obviously, Formula 1 ang gagamitin natin. Aside from the fact na sinabi niya, normally distributed, meaning, normal distribution siya. So, Z score talaga yung hinahanap natin. Tama man. So, ang hinahanap natin is, isulat muna natin yung mga given, 5.4, ang sample size is 50, and then ang sample mean is, what was the sample mean? 79. Okay. So, sabi niya, hinahanap natin confidence level, 95%. So, meaning ang ating alpha is 0.05. And then, we are looking for the margin of error or EBM. And this is normally distributed, so Formula 1 ang gagamitin natin. So, plus minus Z alpha over 2. Tama ba? Yan ba? Over square root of N. Okay. So, anyway guys, I'm so sorry but mali yung pagka-state ng problem. It should not be standard deviation, but it should be variance. Okay, this one. Okay, it should be the variance. And this one should be variance. Because we needed the variance, not the standard deviation. At mali lang talaga yung pagkasabi doon sa problem. So anyway, so how are we going to solve this one? So kunin na naman natin yung, ito lang naman talaga yung pinaka-problema, yung Z alpha over 2. So, ganyan tayo, no? We have the mu, and we have somewhere over here is the C alpha over 2. So, paano natin kukunin yan? Still the same thing. We need to get this area to the left. So, area to the left is just 1 plus 0.95. This is the confidence level over 2. So, using your calculator, that is 1 plus 0.95 divided by 2. So, ang area is 0.975. Tama ba? 0.975. 975. And then, punta tayo ulit dito. Hanapin natin ng 0.975. Okay. Ito. Tama ba? So, 1.9 at saka, okay. So, ang corresponding Z nito is 1.96. So, going back here, ano lang natin, ilagay dyan. So, 1.96 times 5.4 over square root of 50. This is your EBM actually, or margin of error. So, again, using your calculator, 5.4 divided by square root of 50 times 1.96 is equals to 1.497. So, 1.497, this is the EBM. So, para makuha natin yung interval, it's just the mean, which is 79 ba? Tama ba? 497, at saka 79, plus 1.497. So, that is 79 minus 1.497. 77.503, and then 79 plus 1.497, 80.497. So, your confidence interval is 77.503 at saka 80.497, and the width of that is, minus lang naman natin tong dalawang to, okay, 2.994. Okay, that's it. Okay, how about another question? Magkasya pa kaya dito? Okay, dito daw ako sa kabila, ha? Okay, so let's say that the average test scores for E-Tech naman, okay. The average test scores for E-Tech is normally distributed with variance of 6.5. 100 scores with a sample mean 82 were selected at random. Okay, so the same thing ang hahanapin natin, no? Find. However, 90% ang ating confidence level for this one. For the population, mean test scores, and the EBM or the error bound for the mean. Okay. So, sulat din natin ulit ang given. Actually, nandyan na ang given, no? So, ang ating variance is 6.5, ang ating sample mean is 82, and then ang ating N is 100. Obviously, 100, given ang variance, this Z, score pa rin. And then, ang ating CL, or confidence level, is 90%, and then ang ating alpha is 0.10. Okay, so, kunin na naman natin ulit ang x plus z alpha over 2, and, okay, so, still the same thing. Nandito ang mu, somewhere over here is the z alpha over 2. Kukunin natin ang area to the left, and area to the left is 1 plus 0.90 over 2. So, using your calculator, 1 plus 0.9, 1 plus 0.9 divided by 2 is equals to 0.95. So, para makuha natin yung z value for that one, go back to this table, 0.95 hanapin, 0.95, 95, hindi, so 95. Okay. Okay. May dalawang value na pareho. Maalala niyo yung last time na example ko, guys, it should be, kung wala yung exact value na hinahanap natin, maghanap kayo ng malapit sa kanya. However, this one, pareho sila ng kalayo. Kasi, pareho silang 0.005 ang kalayo. Tama man? Diba? 0.95 minus 0.9505 is 0.005. And the other one, 0.95 minus 0.9495 is also 0.005, right? So, let's take into account these two values. So, 0.9495 at saka 0.9505. Okay. Kunin natin yung z values nitong dalawa. 1.6. Okay. That is 164 at saka 165. Tama ba? 165 ba yung isa? Okay. So, kunin natin yung average nito para yun yung gamitin nating z value. So, 1.64 plus 1.65. Okay. Divided by 2. That is 1.645. 1.645. So, that is the z value that we are going to use. Lagay lang natin dito, 1.645 times 6.5 over square root of 100. Okay, use your calculator. Times, sorry, ans times 6.5 divided by square root of 100. Okay, so that is 1.06925. Okay. So, ang EBM natin, this is the EBM, right? So, EBM is 1.06925. Okay, so para makuha natin yung interval, it would be, ano nga yung mean, 82, no? Okay, sample mean is 82. Okay, so 82 minus 1.06925, and then 82 plus 1.06925. So, this one is 83.06925. Ang kabila naman, 82 minus 80.93075. So, meaning, your confidence interval is 0.931. I-ano ko na lang, 83.069. And the width of that is minus 83.069, 2.138. Okay, so that's it. That should be the final answer. So that's it for lesson 3, which is all about, ano nga ang lesson 3? Grabe guys, nakalimutan ko kaagad ko anong lesson 3. Lesson 3 is all about the confidence interval. Anyway, let's go to lesson 4, pero wala na ata akong space dito sa baba. I will go back up. Punta lang ako dito sa gilid. Okay. Appropriate sample size using the confidence interval. Okay. So, ano nga ba yun? Page 14. Let's go to page 14. Okay, this one, appropriate sample size using length of the interval. Okay, so ang appropriate sample size is the sample size that you need to get, na kailangan mong gamitin, I should say, in order to get the closest value to the true value. Okay, so especially, in estimating, especially on confidence interval, sample mean, margin of error or maximum allowable deviation, population variance, and sample size are essential to get a more scientific hypothesis of the true value, or that is the population mean. So, in estimating, the sample size needs to be considered in order to make it more valid and reliable. Kaya nga sa mga research, ginagamit ito siya, and this is used so that the number of respondents, ang number of respondents or sample na makukuha mo is appropriate. So, there is a formula for this one. This is different from the Sloven's formula, ha? This one, you already have the confidence interval. Pero ang Sloven's formula, hindi niya kailangan ng confidence interval. Ang kailangan ng Sloven's formula is the margin of error. Okay. So anyway, by the way, ang margin of error na ginagamit dun sa Sloven's formula is standardized. It's either 0.05 or 0.01. Meaning, kung ginamit mo na error is 0.05, meaning 95% level of confidence yan. Kung 0.01, meaning 99% level of confidence. So, medyo standardized yung kay Sloven's formula. So, this is different. Do not confuse yourselves, okay? Because I think, nabanggit yung Sloven's formula sa inyo in research, right? Okay, so anyway, the formula should be N, andito na naman si Z, alpha over 2, X, and then over D. Okay, by the way guys, still the same thing, hindi natin masyadong papakialaman na ng X because we are not dealing with the specific components, but nandyan lang yan siya for the standard formula. Okay? So, ang kailangan dito is the sigma. This is the standard deviation of the population. Ooh, yeah, right. Okay, sorry guys. Yes. Kasi nga pala ang variance is the square. Okay, sorry. Baka nalito kayo kanina pa ako, S ng S for the standard deviation of the population. Tama pala talaga, it's the sigma. And then D is the maximum allowable margin of error. So, how to compute? And how are we going to use this? So, computing the appropriate sample size. So, let's say, for example, we have D is equals to 2, and then your confidence level is 85%, 85%, and then your standard deviation is 10. What now is N? So, N would be Z alpha over 2, Z alpha over 2, standard deviation over D. By the way, the same thing, paano natin kukunin yung Z alpha 2? Still the same thing, no? Ganito pa rin. Guys, kung kabisado nyo na, kahit hindi nyo nagawin tong ginagawa ako, pero ako kasi gusto kong magganito kasi nga dito ako nasanay. You know, parang tinatak kasi talaga sa utak namin nung high school. Imagine nyo, no? Ilang taon na yung high school pa ako, pero nakatatak pa rin sa utak ko yung standard operating procedure ng teacher namin. That is what you call standard operating procedure, guys. Talagang magiging matatatak talaga sa utak mo kasi nga ilang beses mo ginawa nung high school ka, diba? So anyway, so this is how you get this. So, AL is 1 plus 85 ba? Yes, so 0.85 over 2. So, the area is, calculator, 1 plus 0.85 divided by 2, 0.925. So, 0.925, go to the table, 0.925. 925. Okay, ito na ang pinakamalapit, no? 1.4, 1.44 ang z value niya. Okay? So, going back here, 1.44 times ang standard deviation is 10 over d is equals to 2. Kukalcute na lang yan. 10 divided by 2 times 1.44 equals 7.2. So, n is equals to 7.2. Oh my gosh, nakalimutan ko yung square, guys. Sorry. Okay, kailangan pala siya i-square. Okay, nakalimutan ko yung square dyan. Kailangan siyang i-square, guys. I'm so sorry. So, yung 7.2 square, it's 51.84. 84 dapat. Or that is equivalent to 52. Approximately 52. So, 52 ang dapat mong sample size or respondents. Okay. Let's go back to your module. Guys, may note siya dito. If the computed sample size has a decimal part, it must be rounded off to the next higher integer. Okay? Kailangan to the next higher integer siya. That is why 52. Kahit 51.04 pa yan, siguro, no? 52 pa rin siya. Okay? So, let's try a different example. We have a word problem here. So, a bookstore confirms that the durability of their textbooks follow a normal distribution with a standard deviation of 5 years. Okay. So, isulat natin kaagad yun. Standard deviation, 5 years daw. Okay. How many textbooks must be selected? So, ilan ang sample size? If you wanted to estimate confidence level 99%, that the sample mean is within 2 years of the true population mean. So, D is equals to 2. That is the allowable, ano nga yung ibig sabihin ng D? Maximum allowable margin of error. Okay. So, we are still looking for N, Z, alpha 2, standard deviation over D square. Okay. So, still the same thing. Kunin natin ang Z, alpha over 2. Okay. It is the Z alpha 2. Para makuha yan siya. That is the area to the left is equals to 1 plus 0. Ilang ano yun? Confidence level? 99? Okay. So, 99 over 2 over 2. So, 1 plus 0.99 divided by 2, 0.995. 0.995. So, 0.995. 0.995. This is the same, no? Kasi 0.9949 at saka 0.9951, parehong 0.001 ang difference nila. So, let's get this two. Yung isa ay 2.57. Yung isa 2.58. 2.575. Yan yung ating yun yung Z value. So, and is equals to 2.575 times 5 over 2. Huwag kalimutan ang square. Okay. So, 5 divided by 2 and is equals to 41.44, or that is approximately 42. Okay. So, that is how you solve for the sample size or the appropriate sample size. Let me go back here. Okay. So, therefore, ayun na nga, no? So therefore, you need to select 42 textbooks as sample size from the bookstore to be 99% confident that the sample mean is within 2 years of the true population mean. So ibig sabihin, pag mag-experiment ng durability ang bookstore na ito, magkuha siya ng 42 na textbooks at yun yung pag-eksperimentohan niya. Whatever results comes out from the 42 samples, meaning 99% confident na yun that within the 2 years of the true population mean, it is close to the true value. Okay? Next. Okay. May practice dyan, guys. But I think you can do it na kasi nga may solution. May solution siya and itong practice na independent practice, it's easier than the than the what do you call this one? Than this one. So it's okay. I think you can do this now. So that's the that's the end of the module. That is the end of the last module for the third quarter. So I hope you were able to learn something today, and also I hope you watched this video. So thank you so much. I will thank you in advance for watching this video. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.